Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Brahmanandam Paramasukhadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasya Laksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Om. Adorations to Sadguru, who is Brahman, the giver of supreme bliss, embodiment of pure consciousness, one without a second, vast as the ether, infinite, eternal, beyond the three gunas and their modifications, the supreme preceptor. Yoga Vasistha, Upashama Prakarana, section 55. This practice of sadhana through sage Uddalaka. How did Uddalaka attain enlightenment? That was the topic, and we are coming towards the end of that topic. And behind the story of Uddalaka, the main purpose is to present to you a whole sketch of a spiritual journey from bondage to release. Just as a tortoise withdraws its limbs into its own body, in the same way, the sage withdraws the world into the self, ultimately attaining satta samanya during the 6th and 7th steps of wisdom, known as padartha bhavana and turiya. This is in a very advanced level of description. Firstly, ordinary description of Prathyahar is withdrawing the senses. And again, Prathyahar can be in different stages. First stage, very preliminary, kindergarten stage. If you have something that distracts your mind, then close your eyes. Some sounds that are distracting you, plug your ears. So that's the first stage of Pratyahar. Second stage of Pratyahar, withdraw your mind. Sound goes on, but you are not attending to it. Objects are there, but you are not distracted by it. Because your mind is well grounded. So, with proper understanding, certain things are not good for you. The moment you have no problem. You go into a shop with lots of gulab jamuns and sweets, but you are well convinced that you are diabetic and all this will hurt you. So nothing tempts you. So that type of Pratyahar. Advanced stage of Pratyahar, that's highly climax state, which Uddalaka was practicing. You view yourself, I am the body, and you touch it and everything seems From a practical point of view, things are real when you touch them, smell them, taste them. So that concept, I am the body, is withdrawn into mind. Become a little wiser, understand all this is happening not in the physical world. Physical world has no reality unless the mind creates it. So when you understand that, see, Om Upasana is the core of this. The awe aspect, which is waking state, where you are identified with the physical body. First stage is stretch your understanding. If I am physical body, I am the whole world of matter. You cannot separate your body from the world. But somehow mind has no room to work upon it. But to open that movement by satsanga, etc., and practice of integral yoga in daily life. Unless you are practicing integral yoga, you will not have real progress. Integral yoga doesn't mean that you are constantly mathematically figuring out how much karma yoga I should do, how much bhakti yoga, how much raj yoga, how much Gnana yoga. But have a deep understanding. The four aspects are interrelated. If you have more bhakti, your karma will be more karma yoga. If you have jnana, your bhakti will have more bhakti yoga. And if you are succeeding in bhakti yoga, you will have more opening to progress in jnana yoga. This is illustrated through Ramayana and Mahabharata. In Ramayana, 4 brothers. They are the 4 yogas. And how they are loving to each other and dependent on each other. In Pandavas, Arjuna with other 4 brothers all together, all the 5 of them, another expression of integral yoga. Each one helping the other. While talking about 4 yogas, it is meant to facilitate the understanding. There are no 4 yogas, it is one yoga, 4 aspects. However, in practice, all the 4 aspects must be understood and be kept in harmony in daily life. If that is happening, then you are qualified, you begin to succeed in advanced practice, such as Om Upasana. Now you can understand, looking at your body and understanding the body. If the body is a wave, all the physical world is like the ocean. Ocean and wave you cannot separate. Limited mind will continue to focus on body, physical. Allow the mind to develop a broader. Then you relax and understand all that is in the world is the body. Identified with your physical body, you are called Vishwa. And the universal aspect of macrocosmic aspect is Virat. 2 aspects, microcosmic, macrocosmic. Pindanda and Brahmanda. And both are always related. You cannot separate. Now come to you aspect of Om. Now you realize you are nothing but mind. Paralyze your brain and you have nothing of the world. Without mind, nothing means anything. And you cannot show anything separate from mind. In brief, mind is the reality. So now we have become first stage turtle. We drew the world into the mind. And go on to next stage, identified with individual mind. That's called Tejas. That Tejas is the whole cosmic mind, Hiranyagarbha. And that's you aspect of Om. And then you go further. Your whole mental process is a cinema show projected from the subconscious, unconscious mind. Therefore, the unconscious, subconscious, just unconscious, identified with unconscious state, the soul is called prajna. And cosmic unconscious is Ishvara. Ishvara, God, who handles all. Not a single flower blossoms without Ishvara behind. That Ishvara and when you enter into deep sleep state, you develop identity with your causal body. But your causal body is a wave. Cosmic causal body is Ishvara. It's like the ocean. So now you have withdrawn the mind aspect into unconscious state. Next stage of the turtle. And that Ishvara is Brahman. All this display is through Maya, magical power. So once magical power goes away, Aham Brahma. You are Aham, Brahman. So you go into the fourth step, Turiya. Then you have completely withdrawn all your limbs. So, studying this, you should not be confused in your practical world. In practical world, we'll go on seeing it, hearing it. Your mind will go on operating. Unconscious goes on operating, all the three. But deep understanding, as if withdraws you from all these. So deep-rooted state, I am Brahman. In practical world, I am driving a car. I have to be alert to every detail. The moment you start, Brahma, ask me of the car, there comes big trouble. So figure it out. Deeper understanding is not meant to interrupt your practical life. Rather, to bring more spontaneity, sahaj, more skill, more. If you are joyous and doing things, you do it more skillfully. If internally settled, you do things, your performance is perfect. So therefore you become a source of creating an aroma of harmony and peace. And that point is being brought out now at this stage. Sage Uddalaka, having attained this supreme state, which is the destroyer of all fears. When you have that type of vision, there is no room for fear. If you are just the body, then you have always fear. But even at the body level, if you realize you are a Virat, fear begins to look at you with amazement. Soon it turns back on you and then vanishes. Continue to abide in the house of the world process. Having attained that, having realized all is Brahman, now in practical world he continues to abide in the body. Puryastaka. Your body is a city. But you have been here in the body as a prisoner. But with the enlightenment, you are the ruler of it. Abiding in the body, awaiting the complete cessation of prarabdha karma. You will stay with the body until the body has its own rule, how long it will exist. And that aspect I have talked many times, so I'm moving on. Let me see. Led by karma, how long a sage who has attained enlightenment, how long he will be living, that will depend upon his prarabdha karma. Sages like Shankaracharya, having attained, didn't live long. Vivekananda and many others died early. That is not anything negative. So it is not the stretch of time that qualifies a sage. It's the wisdom. And the effect of wisdom is not dependent upon duration of time. This is the point being brought out. Having lived a long time, sage Uddalaka resolved to give up the body in order to be a videha mukta. Any description is always figurative. The statement that he decided, there is no question of deciding. From his own point of view, death doesn't exist. So this is spontaneity of facing death. That is the miracle of the spiritual movement. Because this is the greatest challenge. Even greatest of people at the death, movement of death, they become shaken. But they become shaken, but they correct the being shaken very quickly. Like Jesus says, Lord, have you forgotten? But then he corrects himself. So that's all that happens through death. Simple way to understand, death is not a reality. Grief is not a reality. Pain is not reality. When you come to have complete mature realization, that's your goal. But that goal is a progressive movement. You come to a state from where you cannot go back. That state itself is called Jivan Mukti, though you have not gone to the climax. But now you are so settled that you cannot just slip back. Otherwise, you are constantly going up a little, then you slip back. Until then, you have not attained Jivan Mukti. Once attained, you will not slip back. Your life is now flowing on progressively. And it, from worldly point of view, people see the body of a sage. From their point of view, the body will move away. From sage's point of view, whenever it moves away, it is in perfect harmony with him. That's called Iccha-mrityu. Iccha-mrityu literally means you die according to when you will to die. And people take it literally. So there are times things are going well, the sage continues. But times when he sees he cannot face the world anymore, then he wills to die. That's not the reality. Because if you are doing that, death is your reality, you are not attained liberation. In a very simple way to understand, when you go to sleep, people there also talk about those who are experts, they sleep according by their will. But the basic point is, you do not exactly, when you go to sleep, you never know at what moment you will go to sleep. It has to come spontaneously. But if you sleep very quickly as you go, next day you can say, I have Iccha. I sleep according to my will. With this intention, he entered a mountain cave. In lotus pose and with closed eyes, this is all allegorical, you see. Otherwise, we're waiting about 95 years of age to sit in a lotus pose. All that it implies, as he passes away, during the passing movement, he becomes completely withdrawn. He meditated upon the self as the reality behind all sense perceptions. Having controlled the pranas, his body, controlled the pranas, the body, mind and senses, he became free of all agitations. And the sage became like a painted picture. Then he brought about the solution of all the thought waves of the mind by meditating upon the self. That's where comes in the terms we use, bhava pratyaya and pratyaya bhava. First stage, you are involved with mental projections. All the world you experience led by karma is bhava pratyaya. Projections must exist. Bhava pratyaya means existence of projections. All that you experience, gain, loss, birth, death, they are all in the realm of vrittis of the mind, called bhava pratyaya. Enlightenment has turned all vrittis into brahmakara vritti. Projections have stopped. Brahman alone exists. Projections move away, the screen alone is, which has been ever untarnished by all projections. Aham Brahma. It's called Pratyaya Bhav. The entire Pratyaya process terminates. As long as this Chitta has not tasted the bliss of the self, so long it is unable to endure the disciplines of withdrawal from the objects. Now, subtle point here being given. You are constantly moving towards a project of detaching from objects of the world. Moving away from objects imply many things. When you face challenging situations, your mind is drawing clouds of despair. Now, when you detach, withdraw from that, it requires certain strength, spiritual strength. When you face adverse situations, a kind of a pressure comes on your mind. And that pressure creates a lot of pain and misery. Sadhana movement allows you to have a subtle strength in spite of all the pressure. And that subtle strength allows you to handle your problem with intelligence. If you don't detach from the problem, you will not know how to handle the problem. Detaching from the problem requires strength. That strength, again, in the beginning is ordinary strength. Strength of some good virtues, good karmas you have done. But when you bring in Bhakti and Gnana, now you have a real secret of a type of strength that even your ego cannot comprehend. But one thing your ego can comprehend, that there is something divine behind ego's attainment. So then, understand the role of Bhakti and Gnana. Whenever there is terrible situation, letting your mind relax with the idea of Sharanagati, surrender to God. You are drawn to Bhakti. Listen to these teachings that tell you how God turns adversity into prosperity by His grace. And there is a meaning behind everything. So it is you are not the one enduring it. It is God's strength that allows you to endure. When you bring in these points, you have better capacity to handle adversity. And if you do so, greater opportunities open up for you. Bhakti opens the royal road. Gnana makes it completely secure. Because Gnana is a revelation of who am I. All this goes on until you are fully enlightened about who am I. The reflected sun is always in problem. In countless ways, I'm not giving all the imagination. But all its problems vanish when it fully understands I am the sun. In appearance, still it is reflected. And it is being deflected. When the mind tastes that bliss of Bhakti and Gnana, Bhakti opens the door, Gnana culminates it. When the mind begins to taste that, it becomes like a bee after honey. Look at the bee, how it becomes a big yogi. There are so many things in the forest, but it simply buzzes. Singing songs of joy for a drop of honey. So mind sings songs of joy with a drop of divine love. It becomes so immersed in the experience of bliss that it allows itself to be dissolved in the homogeneity of the absolute existence. Satta Samanya. Existence alone exists. All diversities have nothing but Brahman as the reality. All the dream you go through, countless things happening, tragic, joyous, all types. But all the time, the entire dream world is just your own awareness. That awareness is the Satta Samanya, the underlying existence, ever untouched, unaffected by your dream experience. How do you know it? You wake up and you are on your bed, touch your pillow. It's good. When you come to that type of internal conviction and you are rooted in it, called Satta Samanya. Another name for it, Asam Sakti and Padartha Bhavana. Two stages. Asam Sakti, things will go on and you go on handling them, but just like you handle so many things in the kitchen, if your hands are oiled, you can handle gluey things like banana skins, etc., and you are not touched. That's Asam Sakti. If you lack Asam Sakti, then anything that you touch, you in order to rid that touch, you have to wash your hand and then touch something else. Work with onion. Even though I have washed ordinarily, still onion smell is there. And if you have to handle something else, like halwa, etc., you have to put your, do something more thorough. So, everything sticks to you in the world. But when bhakti begins to enter, and when you learn to the art of relaxing day by day through satsanga, through kirtan, through good deeds, then the world events, etc., they don't touch you. You handle them well. And if you are not touched, you handle them more precisely, skillfully, with inspiration. Otherwise, you handle things with great perspiration. And in handling, you hurt your hand, torture your head, and many things happen. So that asam sakti, detachment, becomes so thorough that the question of what are you detaching from doesn't arise. As if from dream you have gone to deep sleep. But all this is a description. Nothing changes externally. You internally become settled, joyous, feel expansive. But person around you doesn't know. This is not something demonstrative. It is subjective. Your spiritual progress is not a matter of display. Having practiced meditation, then come to a person. Can you see that Kundalini has risen in me or not? Are you seeing light flashing from my eyes? I'll tell you the whole story. How did I start? People spend a lot of time in this type of display. Sage Uddalaka thus passed into the state of disembodied liberation. First stage, Sahaja Samadhi. Early stage, practice of Samadhi, not Sahaj. You practice Samadhi and then get in and get out. And both, there is a contradiction. When you get out, you don't have that Samadhi insights. Mature state, as you advance, Samadhi becomes spontaneous. You don't have to sit, withdraw, and experience Samadhi. Even while you are operating, doing all your activities in all detail, that experience of Samadhi continues. It was spontaneous Samadhi. If you are internally satisfied and peaceful, that continues even while you are working and doing things. Rather, it becomes a source of inspiration for your activity. You become more dynamic in your action, more radiant in your performance of duties, more purposeful in your life. And that happens, that's called a spontaneity, Sahaja Samadhi. That is described in the Gita as Sthita Prajna. Krishna doesn't say that having attained liberation, one goes on staying in seated condition for days and months and years together. He says, on the other hand, though he is sitting, standing, talking, doing all things, he is rooted in Brahman. That's Sahaja state. That's the goal. He became one with the Absolute. He became the self of all. Now the end of his life is being described in a highly figurative way. His lifeless body remained in the same spot for 6 months, becoming dehydrated by the rays of the sun. This is a totally allegorical description of glorifying enlightenment. If you have attained enlightenment in your body, even your bones, even 600 years later, will become a source of great inspiration. Look into the history. Look how people are busy exploring the bones of Moses, bones of Jesus, bones of great sages. And every movement they do, they get great inspiration. Why? The touch of enlightenment. Every action the sage has done becomes sacred to the masses, a source of inspiration. His adversity, his prosperity, his struggle, his crucifixion, all become sacred. Everything is inspiring. That point is brought out in sage Uddalaka. And allegorically, the very bones of his not only sacred for others, but very Chamunda Devi uses his skeleton as her ornament. Very nature put together in one personality, this Chamunda. Cha relates to Durga Devi. Mun relates to Lakshmi Devi. Da relates to Saraswati Devi. Navel, heart, and Agnya Chakra. Kriya Shakti, Ichha Shakti, Jnana Shakti. That Prakriti stage that brings out all the three. That's Chamunda. That Chamunda now uses his bone and his skull as her ornament. The Prakriti herself has given that. Automatically the entire world goes on receiving inspiration. One night goddess Chamunda and her attendants appeared at the place of the dead body of the sage Uddalaka. The goddess took the dead body and placed it on her crown as an adornment. Thus, even the physical body of the sage was given the place of highest honor by the goddess. Not only his body, but everything he has touched. Everywhere he has gone, every spot he visited, all become glorified. And that's leading you, beckoning your mind to an understanding all is God. Through sage you begin to see a world of sacred objects. But ultimately, when you attain the highest goal, the entire world is Brahman. So which is less sacred, which is more sacred? But in your journey, saintly steps, saintly footsteps, all these points are footsteps of saintly movement. Blessed indeed is the state of moksha. In the next section, sections 56, Sage Vasishtha gives insight into the samadhi of a sage. O Rama, having taken recourse to reflection, dispassion, and practice of samadhi. Reflection is practice of vichar, allowing your mind to figure out who am I. In order to succeed in vichar, you need to have dispassion. Think of the most important thing in you. First you have to deny unimportant things that fill your mind. Lot of junk, lot of thorny bushes, etc. So dispassion and reflection, they help each other. The more you reflect, greater is your dispassion. Greater is your dispassion, greater is your clarity of inquiring, who am I? And practice of samadhi. Reflection leads your mind to a state when it begins to move away from the world of trial. Just like you are moving away from the world when you go to sleep. The moment you are in drowsy state, you don't have any problem about the world. So samadhi practice opens that type of stage. But early samadhi, you drowse a little, but then you come back. Advanced samadhi, you don't drowse at all. Climax of samadhi, it doesn't depend upon your drowsing, not drowsing, walking, waking. It is spontaneous. Sage Vasishtha is now bringing out before Rama some morals from the story and insights. So he says, by O Rama, having taken recourse to reflection, dispassion, practice of samadhi, yogi gradually ascends the heights of wisdom until one rests in the self. Along with the practice of listening to the teachings of the scriptures, and all through this receive your nourishment from studying scriptures or listening to them. The scriptures remain like closed books, but when you begin to practice, you read a few words of the scripture and they open a bigger door into your mind. Listening and reflection. It also includes Gnana Yajna. If you share how you are thinking to help others, now your thinking becomes more interesting to you. But if you don't share, what have I to do with others? I have to clear the light. This type of Gnana now you get is defective. It is not mature Gnana. You end up with some narrow-minded concept. And ego becomes so swollen you don't know how it is. Along with the practice of listening, reflection, and other disciplines that purify the mind. All the disciplines must go on in a spontaneous way, no matter how advanced you are. But they are not called disciplines. When you do something in a profound way and you are enjoying it, it's not a discipline. It's a festivity. It's a feast, not fast. You should continue to inquire into the nature of the self, and until you are able to negate the illusion of the world process. And with this we will conclude. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Bandhanan Mrityor Mushyamamritat. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kashchid Dukha Bhag Bhavet Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityor Ma Mritam Gamaya. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Hari Om Tat Sat.